what you're saying now.
No, I want to know where you get your justification. You're saying no one should kill anyone. But I'm asking you, according to, as a Muslim, okay, we had
a lot of people got killed.
Right. Numerous Muslims ran into churches.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hold on, let me finish. Run into churches. Yes. They strapped bombs to their back.
I heard.
And they blew up innocent men, innocent women, and innocent children. Okay.
That's wrong.
Right. My question.
Morning,
hold on 1 second.
This morning, someone went to a synagogue in America.
That's fine.
Listen, in America, someone went into a synagogue and killed one person.
Right.
I think it's all unacceptable.
Right.
But then again, this is my understanding of things, the way I understand things.
So the question is this.
Yeah.
What was their influence? What influenced them to do this?
Why are you asking me? Am I a spokesman?
Are you not Muslim?
You know.
Are you not?
No, but am I a spokesman?
Were they Muslims?
No. I find it offensive for you to ask me a question.
Were they Muslims
like
that did this?
My friend.
See.
I am offended. Why?
These are Muslims that did this.
Question. I've never met you.
Of 253 people.
How can I be a spokesman for Sri Lanka? I've never been there.
Professional victim game.
My goodness.
That doesn't work. You are playing professional.
So what, brother? If we're here to have a dialogue,
you're all talking at the same time. All talking at the same time.
If we're here to have a dialogue, are you responsible for the priest that molest boys?
I know you're a heckler.
No.
I know you're a heckler. I know you're a heckler. Yeah. Yes. So I know you're a heckler and you're not here to have a dialogue. But I've asked you this question. I've asked you this question because I wanted to see here what you're going to say in relation to these people strapping bombs.
I've never seen my life, and today's
you've been heckling all along. Okay. So my question is, who influenced these Muslims?
To be honest with you, because I'm not their spokesman, I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna. Okay.
For you now, my question is.
So no, I'm not taking
for the priests that molest boys. Can you give me questions on that and answer me why this is happening?
Are they inspired by Muhammad? Maybe that might be the case.
They might be inspired by Muhammad. Muhammad has sex with a 9-year-old child. Muhammad has sex with a 9-year-old child, right? So it could have been, right?
Yeah. It happens in a church. There was a big guy in the church.
253
in the Vatican.
people.
He's been from Australia.
By the teachings
He's been
of
molesting
Islam.
kids for years.
In Sri Lanka, 253 people were killed by the teachings of Islam, by the followers of Islam. Sir, today, are you gonna give up Islam?
How do you know?
Are you gonna condemn the teachings of Allah?
How do you know?
You don't know?
You're just talking.
Take off your coat.
Right. Do you see the shame?
Why, you know this?
And do you see the shame and the embarrassment you have when it comes to the teachings of Islam? Because these men were followers of Muhammad.
I've never been Speaker's Corner for a long
See,
time.
these men were followers of the Sunnah of Muhammad. These men were followers of the Quran. That's why they went. Okay. Right, so you've asked for proof. Okay.
Internet media is full of shit.
Okay, see, look at, first of all, what's your foul mouth? What's your foul mouth?
What for the kids? What for the kids are dying in Gaza, Syria, Palestine?
When it's payday, man, help me.
Speak about that.
Brother, you're just a heckler.
I'm a hair. He's touching me. Yeah, she has a little something in her.
Just walk away, please. It looks like you struggle to control your anger.
Yeah, control.
Can I say one thing? You're full of shit. Both of you are full of shit.
I know. Foul mouth Muslims. See you later.
Yeah, I know. You won against him, but you know, you won't do that against me.
So, but do you see the difference? Yes.
You didn't answer my question.
Do you see the difference?
You asked me about Sri Lanka. I couldn't answer.
You are a
but what about the church?
Okay, you are
boys get
a
molested.
follower.
He's not asking you the
You
question,
are
he's asking
a follower.
Are you condemning Allah?
Okay, do you want to step up? Don't be a heckler in the background. Step up to the front, right? Now, go on.
Who wrote the New Testament?
I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't care if you're Muslim. The question we're asking is this: Muslims went into a church and they blew up innocent men, women, and children. Right? Where did they get that influence from? What influenced them? Wait, one person at a time. One person. You can't answer, so let him answer. You can't answer, let him answer.
Probably extremist Muslim preachers.
Those are extremists. They call them extremists. People who take their ideology to the extreme. And this can be found, people who take their ideology to the extreme. This can also be found in Christianity also.
100%.
But don't switch it. I'm asking who was the influence?
Are you going to let him answer the question or not, man? Give the guy respect and give him a chance, man.
You're
that people
allowed
will
to
kill
speak.
There
regardless of
are
ideology.
extremists in the
Yeah.
ideologies.
Every
okay?
ideology,
So,
yeah.
extremist Christian is the one who would give up his life for the enemy.
Thank you.
They would
That's
pray
not true.
for the enemy.
That's not true.
That's
not true, madam.
Of the Bible.
That's not true.
Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute
So
you.
the priest-
Extremist Muslim, what would they do?
Extremist Muslim.
How you asking?
See, now you're not answering. Answer the question.
No.
See what happened there?
Okay,
Answer the question.
It's for the
this is
video.
it, yeah? You're making a logical fallacy. Yeah? You're trying to say, oh, because
He's a Muslim sympathizer, man.
I'm not Muslim. I'm an agnostic.
Sympathizer says. You're a Muslim sympathizer. Yes? Don't worry, just answer the question. Yes, because you're trying to justify what the actions that took place. The question to you is very clear. Who influenced these people to strap a bomb or to kill unbelievers?
How am I supposed to know that?
Well, then why heckle from the background if you don't know that?
No, I came to ask
All you
a
were doing,
question.
all you were doing,
God in the
you was
Christian-
heckling from
God
the
in
back.
the Bible has
fair
instructed
now,
people
man.
to also kill. So you're criticizing people
He's not Muslim.
for something when
He's
the
not
same
Muslim
thing
and
is
you
in
don't want to hear him
Christianity.
now. That's not nice.
Okay.
I can bring out verses
Okay.
where God said, "Go and kill these people."
Exactly.
So should they say?
Shall I help
Should they
you?
say
Shall I help
that
you?
Christianity is
Shall I help
Christians
you?
that kill?
Shall I
is
help
that
you?
because
So
of
let me respond to that. Let me
Jesus
respond to
in the
that.
Bible,
Let me respond. See, do you want a response or do you want to just?
Jesus,
Here. So my response to this.
Jesus,
Yes. Okay. Can
in
you
the
let,
Bible,
can you
there's a
let me
verse
respond to
that
him?
Jesus says,
So,
bring my
sir,
enemies.
can you stop? Let me just speak to you because he's heckling. Right. So,
slay them in front of me.
we as Christians, yes, we believe in Jesus Christ and we're followers of Jesus Christ, yes. Now, just let my sister explain, yes. There are extremists when it comes to Christianity. There are people who follow Jesus Christ to a core.
Yeah.
What type of people are these? These are people who say, when Jesus Christ taught, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who despitefully. Brother, do you understand what I'm? Let me respond. Yes. Do good to those who love those who curse you. And so, an extremist is someone who carries something out to its very extreme, okay? And that's what we call a Christian extremist. On the other hand, you have Muslims who carry out Muhammad's teachings to its very extreme, which is and I can read it for you, where it speaks about killing.
I know about all the
You can't interrupt me when I'm
religions.
speaking. Yeah, let me finish what I'm saying, right?
Okay,
Which
you
means killing the unbelievers.
Yeah.
Okay? Striving hard against those who do not believe in Allah. And so these Muslims are not just random people who just happen to just put a bomb on their back. They've been reading the Quran, they've been reading the Hadith, and they've taken it to the very extreme of what it really actually says. They take the Quran seriously, they take the Hadith seriously, and what they've done is they've gone and carried out the very commandments of Allah and Muhammad, okay? And they've blown up and killed innocent people. Why? Just because they believe something contrary to the Quran.
Okay.
Now, do you condone that?
Just because they believe something.
Can you answer my question? Do you condone that?
Bro, I am trying to answer your question.
Okay.
Okay, so your question was about people who blow up people by following the rules in the Quran, where God said they should go and kill unbelievers and all of that. So I'm saying that Allah sent this, let's say for argument's sake, Allah sent these people because they followed the Quran and they went to these Christian synagogues and all that to blow people up. I'm saying, what about the same thing in the Bible where God has sent people to go and kill? What if let's say I'm a Christian, what if I take that verse and I use it to justify killing of Muslims? You heard about the Christ Church Mosque, right? In Australia.
Okay, before we keep moving on,
That was done by
I'm
Christians.
willing to hold on one second before you continue. I'm willing to. I'm willing. Can you stop interrupting him? Can you stop interrupting?
No.
Yeah.
It's-
Okay.
let me
I'm willing to answer any questions about the Bible. But what I want to get to the core first of all, before we move on, yes, is that do you understand that the reason why these Muslims carry out this
It's
atrocious
because of the
act?
teachings in the
The
Quran.
Quran. So we agree on that.
Yeah, and I said-
Thank you. That's what my point was. Yes.
Teachings in the
Okay.
Bible.
No, wait.
Jesus.
Wait.
Jesus, it's literally
Yes. Now let's go to the Christ Church. Let's go to Christ Church. What's your point about the Christ Church?
I'm saying like that guy was a Christian and he also went into the mosque and he killed people, he killed Muslims. I'm saying that, so if that guy said, okay, so I read the Bible and I saw the verses where God sent people to, go and kill people, can he also say that that justifies his action with Christianity, within Christianity?
Can I respond to you? Yes. So, before you do that, just a minute, I will come to you. If you be patient, I'll come to you. So, sir,
It's the same.
you've just made a claim. You said that the person who carried out the Christchurch massacre was a Christian. Bring me the evidence.
Well, in his manifesto, if you download it,
Give us the evidence in the manifesto.
So,
His manifesto, you come with the conclusion that he's not a Christian.
Yes, he's not a Christian. He himself said he's not a Christian.
wait, because of his manifesto, he's not a Christian.
What did he say when he was asked if you're a Christian?
He said he was. He said.
Wait. Listen to me. I'm asking. Listen.
Okay,
Hold on,
so
sir.
You guys are the same. Okay.
So wait, 1 second.
we are.
You made a claim, yes? When you make a claim, you must substantiate what you're saying.
Yes,
Yes.
so
I made a claim about the Quran. Hold on, let me just make it clear. I made a claim about the Quran.
Okay.
And I will pull up surahs that verify my
made a
claim.
claim about
So you
the
made
Bible.
right? No, hold on 1 second. You made a claim.
Can't be talking over
Oh
me.
no!
We're both
wait,
saying the
no!
same.
I'm
We're
correcting
both,
you. I'm correcting you.
back and forth.
You just made a claim about the Christchurch massacre.
Yeah.
You said that from the manifesto.
Yeah, the guy.
Yeah, the
was
guy
Christian.
claimed to be a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm saying pull up that claim
So I should pull up. I should go and look for his manifesto, which has been.
because I'm saying you're lying. You are lying about this. That's
am I
my
lying?
because
Why
you
did I lie?
because it doesn't say in the manifesto. We've read the manifesto. He doesn't say he's a Christian.
Okay, can you bring it up?
No, I'm saying to you, you made a claim. It doesn't say
You
it.
said
You're making a
I
claim
lied
as
about
well.
the claim. So you're also making a negative claim.
Right.
So you
I'm
can
not-
prove
okay,
that
right, my-
the claim goes both ways. There's a positive claim and there's a negative claim. So anyone who's trying to say, okay, mine is the truth, should provide proof for the claim.
He's making a claim also.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Can I
He's
respond to
making a
that?
negative
Can I respond to
claim.
that?
So
Right.
you can also
Right.
prove it to me.
Okay, so hold
Show
on.
your
Bro,
evidence.
look.
Where's your
this is what
evidence?
I'm saying.
Are you trying to? Can I respond now?
You've been responding.
respond.
but
Right.
Where's your-
So
evidence?
I'm going to respond.
logic
Right.
Where's your evidence?
My claim
Where's your
is that it does not say that he's a Christian. Okay?
Have you read it?
And your claim is that, okay?
But you
Now,
also have to-
right. Now, what I'm saying to you is that if it's in there, you should be able to bring it up.
Yeah, but
okay?
you said he's not a Christian.
Well,
so you can also
Do you not understand? Do you not understand logic?
Bro, I did
You
logic.
cannot prove.
I did logic.
You cannot prove something that's not there.
Why
Okay?
can't you prove
Listen to what I'm
something
saying
that's
to
I
you.
have a question. You don't answer my
Why can't you
question.
prove something that's not
Okay,
there?
let's
If
talk
something is not okay, wait, hold on, one minute. If three of you are
prove a
talking,
negative.
right. You cannot prove a negative, right? So hold on 1 second, Chief.
Has he read
1
it?
second,
Has he
1
read
second.
the
Yes,
manifesto?
I've read my yes.
All of it,
Yes,
I
I've
can
read
prove a
it.
negative.
So what
Why
I'm saying to
can't you prove a
you,
negative?
so what I'm saying to you is this.
Why can't you prove
Hold
a
on,
negative?
hold on, sir. Wait. If something is not here,
Yeah.
if there is not a cup in my hand, okay, all right, there is no cup. Okay.
Yeah, you just
Now
spoke
hold on 1
negative.
second. Right, exactly right. So what I'm saying to you, is if you're saying there is a cup, show me where that cup is. That's what I'm asking
You
you.
said there is no cup. So now you have to show.
Why don't you just
my hand
admit that?
without
Why
the
don't you
cup.
just admit that you do not know
Okay,
that
so-
there is nowhere in the manifesto that says that he was a Christian?
Okay, then show me the manifesto.
But you made a claim, so I'm saying you
Yeah,
made a
you're also
claim,
making a claim.
right? But
I made a positive claim. You made a
Right,
negative.
so prove your claim.
So you can.
So prove your claim.
Okay, I don't have the manifesto.
right. So
haven't read
so
it, so I
then
can't
don't
say.
make a claim.
I can't even keep
Then
down my
don't
phone.
make a claim that you cannot verify. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, fair
Wait,
enough.
yeah,
So-
right, fair enough, yeah. What did the guy call himself? Did he call himself?
I was making an
He doesn't know if he's a Christian.
Yeah,
We're not
right.
sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, so
Eco-fascist.
he called himself an eco-fascist.
Those were the
right.
other-
But did he at any point call himself a Christian?
No.
He
I
never
saw-
called
I
himself
saw
a
in
Christian.
his manifesto.
Right. So,
Okay,
so
so-
I'm saying if you said that, if you're saying that, you need to verify that. You
Yeah,
can't
but
make them claims.
you've already said-
Whereas
Bush calls himself a Christian.
that's George Bush is someone different. That's someone
That is
different.
not-
Because it's someone
so-
Christian.
So my claim is this. My claim is this: is that
Muslims.
the Muslims
Yeah.
claimed to be the ones that carried out the atrocious acts in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yes. ISIS claimed to be those people that did that, right? And I have evidence to show you that they were Muslims. Okay. So when I make that claim, I can verify that through evidence.
Okay, so
you cannot go and
what I
make
did-
you
so
cannot make
what-
claims
What's your point?
without evidence.
What's your point?
So what I did, if
your
you were
point?
listening,
Yes.
He cannot claim from the Bible that he was inspired to kill people.
Exactly. Right.
George Bush claimed
right.
that.
also claim.
Right. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see that? So in the Quran, I can prove it. as well as in ISIS, have also affirmed that they're the ones who set up the killing of these innocent people. Now, he cannot prove from the manifesto that it was a Christian that did it. But in addition to that, he cannot show that we are taught this by Jesus Christ.
So I have a question.
But you understand what I'm saying to you?
I hear you. I understand.
Right? So how would you respond to that then?
I respond to that by saying that if he doesn't know, he doesn't know, and if he's making a claim that he's not sure about, he shouldn't make that claim.
Fair enough. What about you as a Muslim? What about you as a Muslim?
Me as a Muslim, my question to you is, what percentage of the world's population of Muslims claim to be members of this ISIS or Daesh or they are members of this group and they claim to take on the views of this extreme group?
Okay.
What percentage of the world's Muslims claim to be members of that for you to sort of blanket almost as if this is a common Muslim view? What's your view?
Yeah.
Because people take anything out of context.
Let me respond to that.
They can do that about the Bible. Many things are said in the Bible where it says, you know, I mean, I can't bring up.
Can I respond to your question? Let me respond to it. Okay. So your question is essentially, what are the percentage of Muslims that in the world that take on this or adhere to this ideology from ISIS? Yes.
Exactly.
Right. Now, let me read the ideology that all Muslims should adhere to because it's from the Quran. Okay?
The ideology that all Muslims
should adhere to because it's in the Quran, yes?
Okay.
So, Surah 9...
That's slightly different.
It's the same. It is because what Daesh are saying is they're quoting these same surahs, which I'm going to read to you.
Okay.
So, afterwards. Yes, let me just speak to you.
Never invited him.
Okay, Surah 973 speaks about strive hard against unbelievers. Strive hard against unbelievers. Okay? Surah 9:111, believers fight in Allah's way, so are slain in Allah's way. Surah 9:81, Muslims who make excuses. So this is talking about when you make excuses in order to do that, you'll be burned in hell. Surah 19 verse 6, it says Christians are the worst of creation. Okay? It says in Surah 8:12, it says Muhammad's Lord revealed to the angels, I am with you, give the believers firmness. I shall put terror into the hearts of the disbelievers, strike above their necks and strike their fingertips. Then you go into Surah 9:29 when it speaks about kill the unbelievers. So you see that it's
unbelievers, kill the Christians,
constantly
kill the
Jews and so on and so forth. And so you see that all Muslims should adhere to this because it comes from the Quran. What Daesh or what ISIS are doing is that they're actually following the Quran, whereas what we call moderate Muslims are not. They're actually following something that actually goes against Allah's teaching. Yeah, and so that's what we're trying to say to a lot of these Muslims, that the better example is Jesus' example.
It's very unfortunate that somebody who like yourself. I'm just trying to answer.
We're having a good conversation.
I'm just trying to answer what
Don't mess up. Okay, wait.
Listen, you're from the church. This is cold, man.
Go on.
Okay, I'm just trying to answer your question. Okay, because first of all, I don't claim to be. I don't collect. I'm a common Muslim.
Okay, sure.
I'm not one who.
You're not an extremist.
Well versed.
No, okay.
An extreme, because extreme in any religion is no good.
Come on, man.
Extreme in any religion is no good. Okay, be it Christian, be it Muslim, Jew, whatever, right? But my understanding of that, as would be the understanding of the majority of Muslims, okay, the majority of Muslims, is that when somebody takes a particular verse, because I can kind of almost picture myself at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, when they were Christians fighting the Muslims, when there were Jews fighting the Muslims, okay, even I know, and the vast majority of Muslims will point out to you that it is referring to a particular group who they were engaged in war with at the time. It is not a blanket rule that will cover every single Christian for all time and all periods. And I can be pretty certain that is what the meaning of those verses are. So kill those Christians and kill those Jews who fight against you, okay? And obviously behind every verse there is there is background, there is context, there is understanding, like there would be in the Christian, like there clearly would be when certain Muslims come along and say, look, in the Christian book it says kill this or do this. Clearly it doesn't mean that, because you know and I know that there is context behind it. There was a situation, there was a verse, there is a circuit situation that was happening for those verses to either be revealed or, be mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. So can I respond to that? Can I respond to that? So my response to that is that every single time I have these conversations with Muslims, I say, fair enough. There is, I really encourage context, because you do need to look at the background. It's important. And so what I then pose to them, or what I challenge them to do, is show me the context in which we're speaking about.
Okay.
And so, for example,
that requires someone with knowledge.
That
doesn't require some lay person to just come and blab, because with Islam,
wait, hold on, but let me finish what I'm saying. So,
like Christianity,
but in every single situation, every time they show me the context isn't just merely war. The context isn't just merely an army fighting another army. The context is very straightforward and is very explicit.
All Christians.
It's speaking about in general. That's why when I read you Surah 98, Ayah 6, it says that Christians are the worst of creation. And when you look into the traditions, you see.
I've never heard that.
Hold on one second. It's in the Quran. It's in the Quran.
But I'm saying
let me
you
make
may
a point.
have read that in the Quran,
Yeah.
but I don't believe.
I know you don't agree with that.
Yeah,
but the problem with that, is that if you don't agree with that, you disagree with Muhammad, because Muhammad received that revelation.
I disagree with you, not Muhammad.
Well, I'm reading the Quran verbatim.
Your understanding of the Quran is somewhat flawed. And I'll tell you why it's flawed. Because number one,
give me your interpretation.
I'll give you my interpretation.
Give me your interpretation of Surah 19.
Because I can't give you the interpretation of it, but I understand.
So do you see? It's obvious.
No, but, let me just explain. Sure. You don't speak Arabic. You are not an Arabic speaker. You don't understand.
Do you speak Arabic?
No, I don't. And that's why I'm not in a position. I'm not in a position. I am not one. I'd have to speak to a learned scholar who would be able to.
So Allah can you communicate to an English person?
He can, but there are some things.
So what's the problem then?
There is. But what I'm saying is, but there is a greater probability of you misunderstanding the verses as opposed to a Muslim scholar who speaks Arabic and who has studied the context and understands it. For you to just read it and say, oh, but this is what it says and this is what the Muslims are doing, it's your incorrect understanding of the situation.
Okay, do you understand about have you ever heard of the full? Yeah, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you understand what you're saying. Just 1 second, brother. 1 second. 1 second.
Do you understand that back then, people trying to kill Muslims, Christians, all other religions trying to kill Muslims.
Exactly.
So when he was referring to the enemy. He was referring to the enemies of Islam.
Hear a Muslim say it's a
Do you understand that Islam, the name Islam actually means peace?
No, it doesn't. Does Islam mean peace?
Search up.
Islam does not mean peace. My friend, Islam doesn't mean peace.
Search up, brother.
Islam means submission. Okay, you've got that bit wrong, and you just got here. Okay, so let me just come to you. Okay, so have you ever heard of the jurisprudence? Hanafi, Malaki, Hanbali. So these are Shafi. Yeah. So these are the Sunni jurisprudence. Yes.
They are the schools of thought.
These are schools of thought. Yes. Every single one of them agree with the fact with the Sharia, and they agree when it comes to jihad, offensive jihad. Yeah, not defensive jihad, offensive jihad, which is what ISIS carry out. So what I'm saying to you is that this is interpreted by your mainstream scholars. So this isn't just. Hold on one second. Let me just finish my point. The point that I'm making is that these are Arabic speakers, these are linguistics, these are scholars, and these are people who are interpreting this. Then, if you go into your ancient or not your ancient, but your history, traditional books such as Sahih Bukhari, such as what's his name, Ibn Kathir, they also interpret. He's a commentator, exactly, but he's a scholar, right? And he speaks Arabic, right? Yeah. And so what you have is these people who are also interpreting interpreting this in the same way. And I can show you to you. I can show you how Ibn Kathir interprets, I'm going to find this for you, interprets these horrendous, horrific, violent verses. I'm going to read it to you now. Let me just get it out.
If we are at war with a certain particular...
No, it's not about war.
I'm going to refer to that.
It's not about war.
As you said, they are Islamic State. The news media reports those Muslims as being Islamic State. Okay? So, does that mean I would be saying, oh, Christians are saying destroy the Islamic State? Would I say that?
Right, so I'm just going to read what Ibn Kathir said about this, okay? So,
about this particular verse?
Yes, so speaking about the violent verse I just read for you, so I'm going to show you what he...
What's the verse, sorry?
Surah 9:29. So I'm going to read... I'm going to read Ibn Kathir. I'm going to read a commentary of what his interpretation of those verses. Why these guys... Sorry, brother, we're filming. Yeah. So this is what Ibn Kathir says. It's called The Battles of the Prophets. And this is the
Battle of the Prophets.
The Battle of the Prophets.
Referring to all prophets.
No. He's referring to.
He's not talking about the Prophet himself.
No. He's been a commentary on Surah 9:29.
Yeah, but what's he saying? The Battle of the Prophets?
This is just the book. This is just the book he wrote
of the Prophet.
Okay. Right. So Allah Most High ordered the believers to prohibit the disbelievers from entering or coming near the sacred mosque. On that, Quraysh thought that this would reduce their profits from trade. Okay. Therefore, Allah Most High compensated them and ordered them to fight the people of the book until they embrace Islam or pay jizya. So their command now is because
that's offensive jihad.
Right? Yes, right. So they to fight them, not defending until just a minute, until they embrace Islam. Yes, all right. Let me keep reading. Allah says, "O ye who believe, truly the pagans are unclean." So he's saying these people are unclean. Let me keep reading. So let them not after this year of years approach the sacred mosque, and if ye fear poverty, soon will Allah enrich you, if He wills out of His bounty, for Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Fight those who believe not in Allah, nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden, which have been forbidden by Allah and His Messenger, nor acknowledge the religion of truth from among the people of the book, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. Therefore, the Messenger of Allah decided to fight the Romans in order to call them to Islam. So it's not about defending, it's in order to call people to Islam, in order to make people embrace Islam. What they say is that you kill them. The only alternative, just a minute, let me finish it now. The only alternative they have is if they pay what they call a jizya, right? And if they pay the jizya, then they come under the Islamic or the Muslim protection, okay? But other than that, they should be killed unless they embrace Islam. So do you understand when ISIS and Daesh go out there and they blow up, innocent children inside churches? It's not just because they have, just because they're just extremist terrorists. But hold on, let me finish. But it's because of the very teachings of the Quran and how it's explained in the Hadith and the commentary.
Does that make sense? How is suicide haram? And they're saying, do you commit suicide?
Let me read that for you. He asked a question. Let me read it to you.
People say that Islam is the religion of the sword, religion of the violence. Yet in the Bible, it mentions the sword, the word sword, over 200 times. Yet in Islam, it doesn't even mention it once. 0 times.
Surah 9. Your question was, why would people kill themselves? Yes.
It says suicide's forbidden.
Okay, let's look at that.
It's very clear to see from the verses that you just read. Me being a lay person, I can understand clearly what those verses mean. And those verses were referring to a particular time, place, and situation. When the Prophet mentioned, did it not say Quraysh there?
Well, the Romans. He said the Romans to embrace Islam.
So was that referring to all time period, or was that referring to the Quraysh?
Right.
Was that referring to that?
I'm going to respond to you, yes. So if you look at it, Surah 9:29 is very clear what it's stating.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's stating
the
that
Romans.
No. Let me read it to you because I don't think you understood what I was saying.
No, I understood it clearly.
Right. No, I just want to kind of.
It's difficult to understand. It said clearly those who are trying to attack Makkah.
Right, so it's referring to Surah 9:29. Yes? And it's referring to fighting those who do not believe in Allah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hold on, what did he start with? Who was he referring to?
Okay, let me find it back again.
Who was that message for?
It says here, Allah Most High ordered the believers to prohibit the disbelievers from entering or coming near the sacred mosque. Yes?
Exactly. It's right to those disbelievers from entering the sacred mosque.
Yes, okay.
It said, yeah, so
the question we have to ask ourselves.
Disbelievers, they were trying to enter the sacred mosque. Is that correct? Is that what you would understand from that? Because that's what I would understand. That the disbelievers were prohibited. You must stop them from entering the sacred mosque. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what it says, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So we have to go line by line.
Right. So the question Allahu Akbar. These guys. You kafir. So the question we're trying to ask ourselves is this: is why are Muslims killing people simply because of their belief?
I know, but that's nothing to do with these verses.
But that's what I'm giving you. I'm giving you now.
Yeah, but we're discussing these verses and you're jumping to something else.
Right.
You can't look at those verses and say, oh, the Muslims are killing people.
Sir, let's be fair with the verse, yes? The question is this: it's not about what you're trying to impose on this. It's not referring.
It's clear to see.
Wait 1 second. Wait, let me just make my point. We're not rushing anywhere, right? No. Let me just say it, right? The question is not were unbelievers approaching the mosque. That's not the question we're asking. We're asking is why was the killing taking place? That's what we want to get to the bottom of. Yes?
Killing taking place.
The killing was. This is a commentary, but the actual commentary comes from the Quran. Now, first of all, let's start off with what the Quran says.
But he's giving you the context, isn't it?
Right, but there's different reasons. There's different contexts. There's Sahih Bukhari. There's Ibn Kathir, and what he's saying is that the reason why he's calling them to Islam, they are to kill them is unless they embrace Islam, not because they're approaching the mosques. It's not. All he has to simply say is,
but it said
God.
It there. He said it there. Why did you not understand it like that? Why did you think they're trying to force Islam upon them? When it says fight them, why is it you understand it differently? I don't understand. That's what's confusing me.
The reason why is because throughout the Quran, okay, and throughout the Hadiths, and even in the commentaries, it's repeating the same thing. Kill those who don't believe. It's nothing to do with sacred mosque. Yes, the initial context starts with a sacred mosque, but that's not the reason why they're killing them. We want to know, why are you killing someone? If I'm approaching your mosque, why?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's a valid question as well.
Right. Why are they killing them? Right.
Let's ask that.
Okay. So let's go to the Quran to start off with. Yes.
Okay. Go on.
O you, this is verse 28. O you who have believed, indeed the polytheists are unclean. So let them not approach the Al-Masjid, Al-Haram, after this their final year. And if they fear privation, Allah will enrich you from His bounty, if He wills. Indeed, Allah is knowing and wise. Okay? So right here...
We don't disagree with that, is it?
Right.
Allah is all knowing and all wise.
Yes, exactly, right. So right here, what He's stating is polytheists, okay? People who believe in different gods are unclean. That's what we've got so far. So, because they're unclean, do not let them come to the mosque.
Okay.
Right?
So hold on.
Let me just make my point and then...
Go on.
And if you fear privation, because the reason what they were bringing money, okay, and so there's money that's some type of income that's coming to the Muslims.
Well, it was a central. Mecca was a central.
Right.
Business
Exactly.
trading place.
And what he's saying is that, listen, I know you're going to think, oh, how are we going to make our money now? Says, and if you fear privation, Allah will enrich you from His bounty, if He will. So in other words, trust me, I'm going to enrich you, and I'm going to go into
God, I will enrich you.
Yeah, I will enrich you. You don't have to worry about these unclean people coming to your mosques.
No problem.
Because they're the ones that bring income. Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
So even though they're bringing your income, don't worry about that. Okay, that's the reason why. Then we go to this. This is where verse 29 comes in. Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last days. Because what the problem was is that they were thinking, wait, we need to bring these people in because they're bringing us money. But Allah said, no, I want you to fight them. You think that, because they bring in money, that you're not basically that you're gonna fall short of having enough income.
You're not going to have an income.
Yeah, you're not
You
gonna have
don't need to worry
income.
about
But he's saying,
money
don't worry about that.
because I am the
yeah,
provider.
exactly. No, and what he's
Any God-fearing person will accept that.
Sir. And what he's then saying is saying, don't worry about that. But this is what you want. I want you to do. It says, fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, and who do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion of truth from those who were given the scripture. Fight until they give the jizya willingly while they are humbled. And then it says this, verse 30.
Let's discuss that verse.
Do you understand that?
As a Christian, or as a Christian, or as a Muslim, all right, God's word stands at the highest. That is the ultimate gold standard benchmark, standard for human beings to be living at. Anybody who does not follow that rule, okay, is clearly, right, how can I explain it? Anybody who chooses not to follow the most high word of the Creator, right, according to God, would be unclean. Because as a Christian, somebody who does not, if you look at it from your side of the fence, anybody who doesn't follow the word of God, goes against God, it could be a devil worshipper.
Do they deserve to be killed?
Deserve to be killed would only be in the context if they try to fight.
Right, but that's not what we have here.
No, but then you see, you're saying that, but I think if we dig a bit deeper into it, right?
I'm saying I've read the context.
But you're reading.
The problem we have here is the context has nothing to do with unbelievers fighting against them. The context is that Allah was saying to the Muslims, listen, I'm your provider. I will give you income. You don't need to worry about having these. Hold on. You don't have to have Jews to come and give you your money. You don't have to have Christians.
Or
but what I want you to do, or polytheists, what I want you to do is fight against them. Don't worry, I will give you the money. He's saying fight for them, fight them.
From my bounties.
Right.
Yeah.
But fight them, kill them, subdue them, and that's the point.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah.
And that's what I want you to just think about.
No.
Why are these Muslims doing that?
disagree.
Because of what Allah commanded.
No, because that is a very small minority who have that misunderstanding.
But
it is in the Quran.
It's in the Quran.
It's in the Quran, but it's very easy for you seem to be more on their side.
I'm saying to you is, where did the ISIS get it from? The Quran.
You have to understand that the vast majority of the Muslims in the world don't understand it like you do. You understand it in the same way ISIS do.
No.
You're more with ISIS than me.
The vast majority of Muslims don't follow the Quran.
No, they don't
That's
understand.
the difference.
They don't understand
They
it.
don't follow it.
They don't understand it the way you understand it.
See the news today. One Christian, he went to a temple of Jews and Muslim. Is this came from the Bible? The same thing, ISIS. The same thing. The same.
So
issue.
what I'm saying to you both. I'm saying to you both.
It's
I'm
the
saying to you
issue.
that Muslims, majority of what they call quote unquote moderate Muslims are not actually Muslims.
I was living.
I'm a Muslim. I don't understand it like the way
You don't follow Muhammad. You don't get it.
No, I don't. You're right.
You don't get it.
I don't. And the reason
ISIS follow Muhammad. And that's the problem.
No.
Muhammad says slay the unbeliever.
They are killing Muslims.
ISIS do it. You don't do it.
Muslims. They are killing Muslims also. Muhammad did that. No.
Do you know that? Do you know in the verse I read?
No.
Allah Himself says, if you make an excuse for killing an unbeliever, okay, you find yourself in hell.
Unbeliever. You have to be clear.
I've given you the context. The same chapter.
Who attacked Muhammad? Who attacked Muhammad?
The same chapter.
Are you a Muslim? Sorry, are you a Muslim? Alhamdulillah, right. So look, that's another Muslim. I've never met him. I've never met this brother.
Moderate Muslims.
And we are talking
You are not followers of the Quran.
And we are taking the
You
same way.
are not followers of the Quran.
I have never met
both
this
of you.
Muslim. I have never met him.
Majority of
Why does
Muslims
he
that come to the
understand
park
it?
are
Why don't
not
you understand it
followed
like me?
either there or you're just doing takir.
Yeah.
So there's different types of Muslims. There's different types of Muslims.
Well, okay, why
There's
the
Muslims who don't follow the Quran.
Okay, why
wait.
Why the mosque
The
imam
second
don't
one
do
is there's
that?
Muslims that
Don't do
lie.
that.
They know what the Quran says, but they lie. I don't think you're one of those. I think you just don't, you're finding it hard to get to grips with what the Quran says.
Why?
And 3, there's Muslims who actually follow the Quran.
Why only ISIS?
You both don't follow in the first 2 categories.
Why only ISIS? Why Al-Kaaba Imam don't do that? The government there.
Okay, you're both talking over each other.
The same thing like ISIS. Why they don't do that in Saudi Arabia?
They follow the Quran. How clear? Listen,
but why
every
they
time,
don't do
every
it
time,
like ISIS?
wait, every time ISIS
only ISIS
blow up a church or they blow up innocent people, what do they quote? They quote the Quran.
Today,
they quote the Quran.
Today, a Christian man attacked a temple.
You're a Muslim
and
I see you carrying out a certain act, I'm going to ask you, what authority do you have to carry out that act? And if you don't show me the Quran, then I won't. Then you're not justifying that you're a Muslim. So, for example, if
I've just justified how I am a Muslim because the vast majority of Muslims do not understand the verses that you have just quoted in that same way. The vast majority don't understand it like that. And they are the mainstream Muslims of the world.
Why they don't be ISIS? Why?
Misunderstand the Quran. Do they represent the 99.99% of the Muslims?
Can I respond to that?
Well, you can.
Yes. So my response to this, is that as I said to you, the main scholars interpret it this way. The 4 jurisprudence, okay, they follow it this way. Yes, they do. Sahih Bukhari, he explains it the same way.
I just explained it to you that the vast majority don't, and you seem to still continuously tell me that they don't.
I would like you to give me one of them, but don't believe in offensive jihad. I would like you to give me one.
None of them. Oh, I'm sorry. No.
There you go again.
Finish. I said all of them will agree with offensive jihad, but
right.
there is a time,
that's what I'm talking about.
Place and circumstance before offensive jihad can take place.
What is offensive jihad?
Offensive jihad is when you're opening up any lands for the invitation of Islam. Yeah, but there are rules. There's so much involved that it's not.
Do you know what offensive jihad is?
Sorry.
Okay, what's the difference between defensive jihad and offensive jihad?
Defensive jihad is when you are being attacked.
Right.
Offensive is
when you are going on the attack, right?
That's
jihad, right? When you go on the attack.
Yeah, but we are not in offensive jihad.
So
when they are attacking you, when you hear they are on the border, they are coming. So this is jihad now.
I've read to you. I've read to you.
You must do it. Defend yourself.
Okay, so I've read to you Surah 9:29. I've asked you to show me the context in which where these unbelievers are attacking the Muslims, but you can't show me where the unbelievers are being attacked. Hold on, just a minute. You cannot show me that, right? The second thing I've asked you to show me is, where is it that what is the reason these Muslims are killing these unbelievers?
Well, clearly,
and the Quran gives us.
That's not very difficult, is it? There are obviously people in every religion.
From the text, where does it say? We want to answer.
It's very clear to see. It's very clear to see that people will misinterpret verses of any.
I'm saying to you, you interpret it. Show me Surah 9:29. Give me your interpretation. I'm encouraging you to interpret.
My interpretation.
Right, but from the Quran, where does it say? What does it say about these unbelievers and that they are attacking the Muslims and the Muslims are defending themselves?
Okay,
that's what I want to show you. Oh, so you don't know? You don't know the answer?
No,
okay.
I've already given you.
He doesn't. You don't know the answer. Okay.
Let the young lady answer.
This verse was revealed during a time when the non-Muslims were attacking the Muslims. This was like the Quraysh. They were attacking the non-Muslims. And this verse
I've told him that as well. They're a third Muslim.
That you can defend yourself if somebody attacks you first, but it's not like it was like during a wartime. So it's not like right now, like somebody can just go out and kill people.
Do you have a Quran on you?
No, not
Can I just?
Hold on. No, wait. Right.
I don't know this young lady. I've never met this young lady in my life, and she said pretty much what I just told you.
You're not following the Quran.
Three random Muslims
You want just only your interpretation.
Surah 9:29.
Are you the standard of Islam? Well, pretty much
Exactly.
we understand it as it should be understood.
See, yes. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Understand it better than you.
We understand it. We
than you.
understand it how it should be understood.
But you want your interpretation.
So do you see the problem is? The problem is that you now want to go above what the scholars are saying. You want to go above what Ibn Kathir says. You want to go above what Sahih Bukhari says. You want to go above what the Quran says. You want to go above what Allah and Muhammad say. And you want to say, this is our moderate take on what is actually being said. And you're saying, because there's a few of us that's saying something, that means it's true. It doesn't mean it's true. ISIS are the true Muslims. You are pseudo-Muslims.
No.
That's the bottom line. Okay, let's slow down. Okay. So, again, we'll come back.
Is the man who attacked the Jewish temple today in California, he is real Christian? No.
Okay.
We say no, but you say yes.
You're Christian, yeah.
In your speech, it's not like that. In your speech, it's not like that.
Okay.
Is that
your conclusion?
Muslim? Yes. Okay. Is that Christian man who attacked the temple and the mosque is real Christian? Yes. According to your answer. But according to my answer, no, he was not Christian.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, once again, we have our Muslim friends who are going to tell us, at the end of the day, ISIS are extremists. You know, what they did in Sri Lanka, we condone it. It's not a part of Islam. It's not a part of the Quran. It's not a part of the Hadith. All we simply do is we open up the Quran, open up the Hadith, and we read from their tafsir and their commentaries, and we see clearly this is what's taught in the Quran, what's taught in the Hadith. Just because they don't agree, just because they don't follow that particular verse or that particular Hadith, because they are quote unquote moderate and they don't, they find this very ugly and very nasty, but it doesn't make it the standard for Muslims. And so what we encourage Muslims to look at their text. See the terrorists that went to blow up these innocent people in Sri Lanka, these 3 churches, 2 of them were Catholics, I believe, and 1 of them was a Christian church, and then they bombed other hotels. These Muslims were inspired by what the Quran says, not by what some caliph or not by some extremist group, but simply by what the actual Quran says, what Muhammad says. And I would say we have a better example. We have a better influence on mankind. His name is Jesus Christ. He says, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who spitefully use you. And we encourage all Muslims to come to know him. God bless.